Can Trump simply replace Paul and thereby trigger a crypto bull run? Yes, a speculation that I have read about in the past, but now I have researched it a bit more thoroughly for you, because we all know Trump likes to say things, but can he actually implement them? Additionally, I will provide you with all the other news. Quite a bit has happened, plus crypto trading setup. And now we will take a very close look at which of the predictions I made for you yesterday have come true. And then, of course, we will take a look right away. A glimpse into the future, what's happening today. So you shouldn't miss this. We'll see each other after the intro. Peace. Now new. Uptrend VIP trading. Your opportunity to copy the signals of two profit traders for free. They managed to grow an account from $4,000 to $30,000 within 2 months. The results in the group are also impressive. All you need for this is a deposit of $100 into your BingX account. You can find all further information below in the description. Let's start with a quick look at the crypto heat map. Quite mixed. So if we look at XRP, okay, almost a 2% decrease. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment, but otherwise, Bitcoin plus, minus, 0, Solana, BNB, Tron, yes, also more or less. So nothing major seems to be happening for trading right now, but it's very interesting because it's still quite volatile. Let's briefly start with Solana because Radium is gearing up there now. Yes, exactly. So we once heard about PumpFun. They launched PumpSwap, their own decentralized exchange. And now Radium is saying, well, okay, then we'll just create a launchpad, and that's LaunchLab. So we'll have to wait and see. There's a battle for supremacy. Who can quickly conjure up the best memes. I don't want to raise hopes too high because a meme season or an altcoin season, we're really still far from that. It can happen relatively quickly, that's completely clear. Many are now, of course, hoping that the Radium token will correspondingly rise again. But yes, just a side note, let's wait and see what happens in the future. Yes, even the base chain, it tried something new. In fact, it created a new category right away because the criticism was quite significant. There was a post from Base on a platform that essentially launches a meme coin for you. So this is the platform Zora. Well, and then things got wild again with here, whatever else. So at its peak, the thing quickly reached a market capitalization after launch within an hour, mind you. It reached $17.1 million. And then it crashed by almost 90% again in the next 20 minutes. In any case, the discussion started. And here, Jesse Pollack, the Base CEO, also commented on it. And he said, yes, folks, this is not a meme coin at all. It's a content coin. And yes, so all in all, I won't elaborate too much. I just don't know. Rather, I want to quickly say thank you again, specifically for the recent view counts. Almost 1,200 views, nearly 100 likes. Maybe we'll break the 200 mark again today. So if you want to support my work, my hours of research, it's completely simple and straightforward. You just have to click here. By the way, it's also free, so feel free to leave a free like now. And if you're new to the channel and you are wondering, okay, Daniel is nice, but what do you actually do? This is about crypto and news combined with a trading setup. And all of this is honest, fact-based, transparent, without hype, exactly what you need. So if you're interested, leave a free subscription now, plus activate the bell so you don't miss any important information. A warm welcome to all the newcomers. And now let's continue, just so you hear it briefly for completeness. The ECB has once again lowered the interest rates, this time by 25 basis points to now 2.25%. Music, all the experts had already anticipated this. Whether Bitcoin reacted to this, I don't think so. So it's different from an interest rate decision by the Fed in the EU. It seems like no one cares, or at least not crypto, Bitcoin, altcoins, or whatever. And before we get to the trading setup, we have a pretty exciting topic here. Namely, is Trump now in a position of power where he can simply replace or remove Powell. And I've done a bit of research for you. So there are a few details here, but nothing in-depth researched. Yes, in the end, it's like this. The Fed, for those who don't know, is independent. We are talking about a private company, and thus the central bank is intentionally somewhat decoupled. However, the president, in this case Powell, must still only be confirmed by the Senate, has a term of 4 years, and can be re-nominated for it. So this is basically a re-election, if you will. And here's the thing. He cannot simply be fired just because the president doesn't like the monetary policy. Of course, theoretically, if Powell were to do something really serious, sure, then the president could go ahead and essentially reprimand him, etc., and could try to dismiss him for important reasons. But on one hand, this has never happened in history, and on the other hand, it would certainly end up in a legal dispute before the Supreme Court. So, let's be honest, maybe I'm the only one. Feel free to write in the comments. But I personally think that Powell is doing quite a good job. Yes, of course, it's not always in the interest of crypto, but you have to look at it holistically. And he simply doesn't play the game that Trump would like to play because he has stirred up enough chaos. He has now, of course, called for lowering interest rates, and so on. But in the end, yes, Powell simply says, let's wait and see. However, he hasn't said that he is against interest rate cuts, aside from that. But for everyone out there watching the video, hopefully many, feel free to share it. It is a fact that Trump, I would say, is almost 100% unable to interfere in any way to replace or remove a president. So that is more than unlikely. But before we get to the trading setup, I have something brief for you, namely Swiss. I don't know if you are already familiar with the company. It is regulated in the EU, as you can clearly see here, with its headquarters in Switzerland. So it is definitely a very seriously structured platform and is quite intuitive. So especially for all newcomers in the space, this should be quite interesting because there is, for example, the possibility to place a trade between 5 central exchanges and 12 decentralized exchanges such as Uniswap, Jupiter, and so on, and thereby always get the best conditions. So it's also possible cross-chain, which makes the whole thing quite interesting, as you don't have to search through all the individual exchanges, essentially acting as a kind of aggregator. There is also an earn function where you can earn additional tokens. You can set up a savings plan, that is also possible. And there is currently a promotion if you sign up using my link below, which I have arranged for you, and deposit 20 euros, you will receive until the 2nd of May. 10 euros in Bitcoin as a gift. If you also trade 100 euros, then you will receive an additional 50 euros in Bitcoin on top. So feel free to check out the platform. And now let's continue with trading here as well, if you are looking for it. For a cool exchange, for BitUnix, I can tell you it might make sense to use this exchange. It has a super cool setup. I've also just included all the bonuses that I've managed to get for you. So feel free to check it out. The registration link is in the video description. It takes 2 or 3 minutes and you're all set. And then you can theoretically get started. Let's start with Bitcoin in the 5-minute view. So it's currently moving sideways a bit. By the way, I've also sketched it out a bit here. This could be a symmetrical triangle here where we broke out nicely again. Then there was another retest here. And now it's more of a sideways movement, but it's extremely interesting for trading. So we had this, let's call it correction phase. triggered by Powell's speech. And the price recovered relatively quickly, as I mentioned to you yesterday. I then set a few limit orders here, which were triggered. And accordingly, I was able to take advantage of this. But then I told you something will happen again, and it will go down again. And so you can watch yesterday's video. It actually happened. So it went down again. The only problem with the situation was, well, what does problem mean? Profits are profits. I closed it way too early and it just kept rising, going further up. So more okay, as I said, don't worry about it. As long as there's a green number, everything is fine. And then I said, and this is where it gets interesting, this area up here was tested again, right? Here. And it was rejected again and declined. And it didn't continue upwards here. And this order, I still have it open because I also said it would go in here. So in that regard, I had set the limit order right up here. That was pretty much on point, and then it went into a downward trend. Then it did go up a bit again. I have already realized part of the profits. However, this order is still open because I personally believe that we will go one level lower again. But let's take a look at that together now. Now, let's also take a quick look at the heat map, what we can definitely see here. So on the one hand, we have volume up here that could be retrieved. However, if you compare it like this, you could already say that it shines a bit brighter down here. If we now also call up the 3-day view, which was just the weekly view, then you can see again, there are a few volume areas, but especially here. These 82,600, 650 plus or minus have been shining there the whole time. And it almost definitely screams that they will very likely be picked up sometime soon indeed. And by the way, this is also my personal forecast. I can definitely imagine that there will be another retest in this area. So there was indeed a lot of movement there, let's say within this range. And I also set the take profit again regarding my short order, but at the same time placed a new limit, order Kai set to long. But theoretically, that doesn't have to be it. It could easily be that before we go further up, we really come back into this range of 82.6 plus or minus. That means I've just set one pro forma. Here in this area, I also placed a limit order again because, as I said, we know the level and it's quite conceivable. Then you briefly shoot the price down, nicely pick up the liquidity there, and then hopefully it continues upwards again. If we take a quick look at the RSI now, we can say, yes, okay, it's holding relatively in the middle. Almost more of a downward tendency, but as I said, it can continue both upwards and downwards now. Let's continue looking at XRP. Yes, okay, so up here, a bit more volume is slowly and steadily building up. There's also volume down here, but as I said, I mentioned it in the video yesterday, so personally, I'm still keeping my hands off. The reason for this, you can also see here in the 4-hour chart, so I don't want to repeat myself, but it's a bit of a sad story. We effectively have no higher highs here. It's more of a consolidation phase if you look at it. Can we form a symmetrical triangle here? Unlikely, right? So let's try it if we draw it here now. This up here, we can completely forget about it and draw along here. Oh, look at that. Then this could indeed become interesting. But it could also move downwards accordingly. But that would at least explain why the movements are getting weaker. So in plain terms, this means we could either see a good breakout upwards or downwards. It's relatively realistic now, so let's just wait and see what happens. Historically, it has unfortunately always been like this. It went down, sideways consolidation. It went down, sideways consolidation. It went down, sideways consolidation. I don't want to repeat it, but you know what I mean. So I'm being completely cautious right now. And yes, one, Can only hope that the 1500 mark doesn't sustainably is broken, preferably upwards. Downwards wouldn't be so cool. Yes, but as I said, I would personally be quite cautious right now. Well, the RSI is also in the middle range here, although it feels like there are no fluctuations at all, which has proven to be true. So let's see if we will see this low again. For hodling, it would have made sense to take action in this oversold area. Again, to open one or another position, let's move on to XRP, also with free choice, upward. There's a slightly thicker area lighting up here, but also liquidity is lighting up below, which might want to be tapped. Here's a quick look at the chart in the 15-minute view. So you see we are still in a downtrend here. And it feels like not much is happening right now. It's repeatedly testing, almost testing this critical line. So it doesn't look like it's going to shoot up steeply right now. We should definitely keep an eye on it. But I'll be honest with you, my focus in trading is very clear right now. Bitcoin. That's all for today. I hope you are well informed again. Feel free to leave your opinion in the comments. And if you liked the video, feel free to leave a free like. Finally, I can give you a tip, a non-public video. Feel free to check this out. If you want to use VIP trading on BingX but don't know how the BingX platform works, you should invest these 10 minutes. Otherwise, we'll see each other tomorrow in the next update. Until then, all the best. Bye.